Session blood. Hello everybody, and welcome to another matchup overview. Today I'm going to be playing Ranger, my own list, and my opponent is going to be playing Warrior. Alright, let's see who starts. So here's a interesting part of the game. Actually, not many people know this, but you want to choose who goes first and second before you do all the sideboarding and deck presentation. Okay, I'll go first. So, I mean, that is the official tournament rules. I mean, people tend to shortcut that. And yeah. So I've got a pretty rough list, to be honest. I haven't tested much Ranger once Crucible dropped. So it's, I mean, for those of you who have seen the last game, Ranger vs. Warrior, I was playing the Warrior, and I ended up fatiguing the Ranger player, and that is why I think I'm just going to keep as many cards in here as possible, just taking out cards that are not particularly good in this matchup. I'm going to take out the Potion, maybe cards like Art of War. I don't really see much use for them in this matchup. To be honest, I just had a one-off of Art of War in there just to kind of test it in this list. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Time Snap Potion, That card's mainly to do like a finishing off combo at the end. Maybe using something like Enlightened Strike for 7 or Enlightened Strike for 5, draw a card. Drop an arrow, but yeah, I might just take it out here. Okay. I'll move this away, shuffle up, present my equipment. I'm ready to go. Just waiting for my opponent. Now, let's just have a look at this hand. I could just do a headshot for 6 here. I think it's a pretty... let's not forget our tunic trigger. Okay, counter goes on tunic. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shoot a headshot. Basically try and... Ooh, a tripwire trap. I don't think I've hit effects and trigger this chain link. And I think I'm just going to go for a headshot here for 6. Now, this is where basically I think it's really important to know whether you want to be on the aggressive or the defensive. If I wanted to go on aggressive this game, I'd probably just play for a life in my arsenal and just go for a big turn next turn. I think the Tripwire Trap is just going to be a dead card in my hand if I do that, so I'm just going to arsenal that. But yeah, interesting hand. Unfortunately, there's no arrows here. I think I'm just gonna try and use basically the pitch from Feigned Death to go life for a life into another life for a life, or life for a life into an Enlightened Strike for 7. That's a 4-card hand that deals 11 damage, potentially draws me a card. Here is that annoying Warrior's Valor. Now, this is where it gets tricky. So my opponent doesn't have any resource at the moment. If I activate the Tripwire Trap, and they pay 1, that stops basically their pump from activating. I'll try this out. I'll see what the trap does. I'm still not sure how the trap works with cards like Warrior's Valor. I'm assuming that it basically prevents the trigger from happening unless my opponent pays 1 here. Whoops, I forgot that it's a card that doesn't have to pitch. Yeah, my opponent hasn't played a Dauntless just yet, so I think I was a bit preemptive there. Who knows, maybe maybe I'll be fine to just, if I take 1 here, I can still just pitch the Life for Life for Feign Death, and just completely stop my opponent's attack. So, yeah, so they're pitching here, so this does work. So I'll take 1. Yeah. Now, this is interesting because if my opponent just uses that resource to attack, potentially that signals that he's got an Iron Song response. So yeah, unless they're going to do something. Yeah, so they're just attacking. My options here, I think, is either block with the Enlightened Strike, and hope they don't have an Iron Song response, or feign death and just stop that attack. Or potentially I could just take the whole damage. Interesting. If I take all the damage, I could potentially Life for Life twice. Do I feign death? I mean, I am taking 3 damage. They do get a counter. It's a tough one. Because, yeah, the only card that they could possibly have is an Iron Song response, which is pretty likely. If that's an Iron Song response, they just waste an Enlightened Strike and they get a counter anyway. If I feign death, yeah, I'll just feign death it. Yeah. So now, I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind, that my opponent potentially has an Iron Song response, because it was a clear signal that that's what the card was. If it was anything else, I think it could be maybe a Sigil, no bluffing. To be honest, it could be anything at this point, but I'm just going to attack, and I think I'm going to draw a card. I think it's better in this situation to have a card in Arsenal than dealing an extra 2 damage. And an attack for 5 is pretty threatening anyway. Okay. Wow, what a hand. Enlightened Strike with Razor Reflex. Ooh. I'm thinking of going aggro here. Even if my opponent has something like a Warrior's Valor or something like a Spoils of War that guarantees them a go again, I think this hand is really offensive, and I think I think it's best to just save it. Even though, this stuff blocks for 3. I don't have any defense reacts that can stop any potential reprise cards, so hopefully he just attacks with the Dawnblade. Perfect. Then I go no blocks. Sweet. Yeah. Yep, so I take the 6 damage here, which is great for me. And that just ends my opponent's turn unless they crack their refraction bolters. Let's see what they do. You know, maybe I still haven't taken the damage. Maybe they're considering playing a glint, which is the only kind of instant card that would give them go again, to attack with the weapon again. But to be honest, I don't really feel threatened at all. I think cards like the Come to Fight, Enlightened Strike, Razor Reflex, they're all just such great Okay. Did my opponent have a sigil or something? Nope. See, it's great to create situations where my opponent is left with a card in hand. You know, they could have used that card to block my Enlightened Strike, clogged up their hand, so they just draw 3 cards instead of 4. But alright, let's do some crazy plays. Now I'm going to force a really powerful attack. I'm going to Enlightened Strike. I'm still not sure whether I want to draw or go for 7. Oh, I have to put a card on the bottom. Damn. And I missed a trigger on cross wrap. Whoops. Shows you how experienced I am with Ranger. Damn. Oh well. Do I want a razor? I think I'm going to put the razor on the bottom and just go for go again. Yeah, Come to Fight in yellow is one of these cards that I'm kind of iffy about. It works really well with, just because it blocks for 3, it's just a great addition to Ranger, which is class known for its low blocks. Pumping arrows, you know, going for the go tall strategy is basically what I'm trying to go for. But yeah, I think and it works well with cards like, you know, all those on-hit effects like Life for Lives. Sweet, my opponent takes it. Now I'm going to use 1. I'm going to Death Dealer. I'm going to put this in there, draw a card. Ooh, increased tension. Nice. So now I can play this. And now I'm going to use the Tunic and shoot for 7 damage. And Sleep Dart is a great card against Warrior. This ability basically stops them from hitting again with the Dorinthia. Really good card. Paired up with something like Increase the Tension, it makes it real tricky for my opponent because now if they don't have a defense react in their arsenal, they can't use that defense react against my Sleep Dart. Which makes it a really clunky block. I'm assuming that they will block with 2 cards from hand and probably use the Refraction Bolters, or basically I'm just hoping that they use up some of that armor. The trickiest thing for Ranger in this matchup is to strip that Warrior of the armor. It hasn't been working so well. My opponent's been doing a great job at just taking the damage and saving armor for later, which I think is the right call. Because, ooh, Iron Song Determination, wow, I'm happy with that. That is a great card. I'm glad to see one of them gone. Okay. Now, the key is not to forget this trigger. Okay. So I think my opponent is trying to maximize the damage they can deal You know, they can't go again with their weapon. So to be honest, I think they're just gonna. I mean, the way I see it is that still probably is an Iron Song response. I'm just gonna. I won't block this. I have a very aggressive hand. I'm gonna draw a card from Death Dealer, so I feel pretty good in this situation. Even if they pump their weapon for 3, I'm willing to trade and go to even life with them. But yeah, they can't activate their refraction bolters because their weapon can't attack again, because Dorinthia's effect is not working. So yeah, I feel pretty good about the situation. Okay, so they're using a route which pumps their weapon. So it's like an expensive stroke of foresight here, which is fine. I'm willing to take the damage. Now, something that's interesting is it's quite good to keep track of these cards that my opponent's putting on the bottom. You know, that increased that you can just tell that that increased tension was really good against them because they couldn't cast that sync. So yeah, I feel pretty good about this game so far. I'm happy to trade blows with my opponent. I think, you know, okay. I'm going to put this in the arsenal, draw a card. Now I wish I got another... I wish I got another arrow there. I might go for a pretty tricky play here. I'm going to try something different. If it backfires, then oh well. But first I'm just going to shoot for 4 there. No blocks from my opponent. Oh, no, that was way too risky. Okay, so this is what I was going to... This is the tricky play that I was talking about. I'm going to take aim here, even though I don't have an arrow. Put this in my arsenal, then use the cross wrap to hopefully hit an arrow there. It's not good. But hey, there's still hope. I'm going to Azalea there, and hopefully this is going to be an arrow. You could say these are some next level plays. Don't try these at home, guys. Bam! With dominate. Wait, what? What happened there? Oh, I don't even know. Okay, so I've got 1 resource. I'm going to use that resource and shoot with red in the ledger with dominate. I'm glad this is on camera because, you know, these are some crazy plays. And look at that, my opponent has 5 cards in hand. Their next turn, they can only do one thing. They only have 1 action. They can't pump their weapons. You know, they can't cast any actions. Well, any action is just going to end their turn. So I think the best thing that my opponent can do here is... I'm guessing they don't have a defense react in their arsenal because they would have used it last turn. Oh, damn, that is commitment. Yeah, so I got 3 pieces of equipment there. And I think that was a good play from my opponent because they, you know, having that turn shut down so badly for them was going to be painful. But to be honest, I don't know. Ooh, another great hand. I'm gonna try some crazy stuff. So even if my opponent has a big turn, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna. I might actually just take it, just because this hand is so good. You know, these cards combo so well together. Cards like Rapid Fire that reload and Plunder Run. Next turn lets me pitch one of these. Yeah. There's that attack for 9. That is really annoying. The good thing is my opponent can't pump this, so I could potentially block with the Sikkim shot. I just really don't want to do that. See, the thing about Warrior is you have to know when to block. I'm still putting my opponent on Iron Song Response in Arsenal. I think that is the card that they have there, which makes it. I'm just gonna go for it. Basically, my opponent's playing a very aggressive game. Wait, 27, 18. I'm taking so much damage. So now I'm expecting them just to swing again. I could sacrifice 2 pieces of equipment here. I could blow my tunic or my cross wrap. But my hand is just so great. I think I'm just gonna take it here. Cards like Poison the Tips, I mean, this is gonna shoot for what, 10? Go again? And if he doesn't block, he loses a card. So yeah, I'm just gonna take it. Yeah, so if both of us are playing pretty aggressively, which means that let's have a look. Headshot. Okay, so let me think about this. I'm gonna pitch the Rapid Fire, play Come to Fight, then I'm gonna Poison the Tips, reload, putting Plunder Run, and then I'm going to use Death Dealer. So I need 1, 2, 3. Damn, a blue instead of the Rapid Fire would be great, or a counter on Tunic. I hope I didn't miss any triggers. But anyway, I'm going to put this on the bottom. Oh wait, I don't have to. Oh yeah, that's okay. Okay, I'm just gonna pitch. Play this. 1 floating. I'm gonna use Poison the Tips. Reload, Plunder Run, use this, chuck a Sikkim shot in there, draw a card, pitch. Damn, this would be great as a draw, and I'm going to Sikkim shot for 10. If my opponent doesn't block, I'm going to draw a card, they're going to discard. So basically, I'm trying to force a block here. I'm trying to force a block for 10, which is quite a tricky number. It's 2 cards that block for 3 and a defense react that blocks for 4, or it's 3 cards and an equipment block. So my opponent must be thinking, is it worth me taking this damage? What's the worst that could happen, right? And to be honest, I kind of wish that this Endless Arrow was the card on top of my deck because it would let me bullseye braces, chuck it on the bottom, swing for 5, poison the tips still works. So I am putting my opponent in a tricky position, but now I'm having second thoughts as to whether it was worth taking all that damage and giving my opponent a counter. The good thing is they're probably losing at least 3 cards from their hand. You know, or they could think, hey, maybe I'll just take it and just swing back. You know, and this is where... Yeah, exactly. That's why that Endless Arrow would have been great. But yeah, we'll just see what my opponent does there. To be honest, even if I can't attack again, I'm pretty happy because I get to Arsenal, which is pretty crucial for Ranger. But yeah, the good thing is I'm still have some of these equipment blocks. So yeah, we'll see what my opponent does. Alright, they're going for the tempo play. Okay, I'm just going to Arsenal and pass. So I think it's quite worthwhile for me to block up this turn if I can. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Attack for 7. Now, as I was saying before, I'm placing my opponent on an Iron Song Response in Arsenal. They have 1 card in hand, which would mean that I would have to block for around 10. Is it possible? Can I just take it here? Can I just swing back? Okay. I really have to plan out my next turn really well. So I do have that take aim here, which is great. It allows me to reload. Knock, really great card. You know, if I use the take aim and the increased tension, that's +5. Knock is just basically a free dominated red in the ledger because I've only used 1. So that's potentially a 10 damage dominated red in the ledger. So I would drop to 7 and then get hit again. I could potentially, if I'm putting my opponent on a Iron Song Response, I could potentially block with these 2 and try and stop that attack. This is really tricky. Okay, so what would I need for that play? I can do this. So this requires 1 resource. Red in the ledger. I would need to reload something, so I guess I would reload the Remembrance. So, no, because I have to pay. I would reload the Endless Arrow. So I use this, pitch this. Okay. This is going to be crazy, but no blocks. I'm not going to block this. I'm going to let him have a free hit. They're thinking. So it could be a bluff. But we'll see. Oh, it's attacking for 5. Should I do it? Should I just take it? Risky. They get another counter. Oh shit. I don't know how that happened. Okay, anyway. No blocks, take it. Alright. Now I'm in such a tricky spot. Let's hope this works. Okay, how did it go? I pitch this. Play. Increase the tension. Take aim. Get a red in the ledger. Oh, I had 2 on top, I think. I really hope this works. To be honest, it's just, I mean, both Ranger and Warrior play both Ranger and Warrior play really well when your opponent is low, just for the, Ranger has the dominated arrows, Warrior has attack reactions that, you just have to start playing around super late game, which is, I think, why Warrior has been so popular recently. Here in New Zealand, winning, doing extremely well, and making a lot of top 8s and winning some of the road to national events. But yeah, I gotta say, this game's quick. My opponent plays a very aggressive, they have a very aggressive play style. I was expecting them to try and fatigue me, like I did with Warrior against the Ranger in my previous game, but they're just going ham. And to be honest, it's working. I have 4 pieces of equipment, so I can block for 1, 2, 3, 4. Not great, but hey, that's Ranger, right? And they have 1, 2, and potentially 3 with the skull cap. So yeah, I'm expecting with my opponent to block with at least 1 card from their hand. I think next turn I might have to dump my whole hand to block. Yeah, I guess that glint wouldn't be too useful. But yeah, I just really hope that I survive this turn. Oh, Feign Death and Remembrance are not what I want to see right now. 2. Oh, I'm just gonna have to block this. I'm gonna have to block this with a lot of cards. Damn. If I block for 4, can I survive this? Let's have a quick look. The issue is I'm just still convinced that it's an Iron Song response in their arsenal. That's red. If I block with cards from my hand... Damn, this is rough. I'm just going to go for something like this. If they have another pump in their hand, that it's just game over. But yeah, we'll see. Just really hoping they don't have anything. Was it an Iron Song response? We'll find out. So right now we're an even 8 attack, 8 defense. It was an Iron Song response, yeah. Oh, he had another one. Yeah, I don't think Feint Death is as great against Warrior as I expected it to be. Note to self, don't put it against Warrior. It's great versus Ninja, it's great versus Runeblade, it's great versus Wizard. But yeah. Possibly, or maybe went a bit too overboard there. Yeah. Lessons to self from this game. I think I did a good job picking the read on the Iron Song response. Throughout the whole game, my opponent was stuck with it because I was playing around it constantly. But in the end, the Red in the Ledger wasn't enough. I mean, just one single weapon swing was just so strong. Maybe I put all my eggs into one basket there with going for that play. But yeah. Yeah, that tension was really good. You know, I think MVP against Warrior, Sleep Dart, and Red in the Ledger. Sleep Dart is basically another copy of Red in the Ledger against Warrior. You know, cards like, I really like that Poison the Tips turn. I think that went pretty well. I really wish I had an extra resource so I could, you know, I didn't get to use my Bullseye. The Tripwire Trap was really good. But yeah, I'm not sure what that Poison the Tip is. This is really good. Increase the tension. Just put my opponent in some tricky situations. Yeah, Poison the Tips. The play with Plunder Run I think was really decent. I kind of wish I left that other arrow on top. I would have drawn the arrow and then would have drawn into an endless arrow, been able to braces it back in and then put it back in my arsenal. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you've learned something about the matchup, and I hope you learned something about Ranger, and I do really encourage you guys to go out there and try Ranger because it's such a fun class to play. And I will be posting my list. You know, it's a very rough list at this stage, but I'll just be posting it up and updating it as I go along, just so you have an access to kind of like a template to get started. But yeah, thank you for watching.